What is up guys, Mara here, back again with another video, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hot Toys Avengers Endgame Thanos. This is movie masterpiece 529, so let's get into it. So taking a look around the packaging, on the front you get a nice picture of Thanos. On the side here you got the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos right there with a description, and Avengers A, both in gold foil. Got Thanos on the back here with more descriptions, warning labels, and the UPC. And on the other side, same thing. You got Thanos with the gold foil revealed right there. Now removing the slipcover reveals the window box to the figure, which looks very nice with the Infinity Gauntlet on the bottom right there. Thanos on the top, nothing on the side other than the two gold foils. Avengers logo right there with the cast and crew responsible. Same thing on the other side. And on the bottom, you get the Avengers Endgame logo. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, now doing some size comparisons. Here is Thanos next to 1/6 scale Infinity War Thanos on the right and the 1/4 scale Iron Man on the left. Also a couple of Avengers figures from Infinity War like Iron Spider, Thor, Iron Man Mark 50, and the Cell Suit Cap. Also Marvel Legends figures, kind of the 1/12 scale variety right there, just to show you how tall this guy is, which looks very cool. So comparing the head sculpts between the Endgame Thanos next to the Infinity War Thanos, they're pretty much exactly the same. Now, even though Endgame reused the exact same head sculpts and facial expressions, the paint has changed quite a bit, kind of a shade brighter on the purple here. So with the Infinity War Thanos, you kind of get a more muted purple, kind of a desaturated purple. With the Endgame Thanos, looks like they added more purple tint to it, so I kind of like this one better since it's more bright purple as opposed to the kind of desaturated purple that we get in Infinity War, because in the Infinity War movie he does look a little more purple, like on this Endgame head sculpt here. You can see I kind of taped up the Infinity War one so I don't get confused, because they're pretty much exactly the same. It's just the purple that they use is different. Now that same shade of purple continues throughout the whole figure, as you can see right here. It's pretty much the exact same arm sculpt, but it's a little bit different with this Endgame one, but you still got the same ball peg right there, same sculpt. It's just that on the Endgame one, they made the gauntlet a little more accurate, making it a little bit smaller. If you've seen my Infinity War Hot Toys Thanos review, I said the gauntlet was a little bit too big, but they kind of shrunk this one on the Endgame one, which I like a little bit better. The gold paint is different, and the hands and fists are pretty much the exact same, but if you want, you can do some hand swappings right there. Also, if you have the Infinity War Thanos figure, you can attach the bendy arm here. It's just that the shade of purple is different, and everything is not magnetized, it's just via friction. For Thanos' accessories here, starting off with the helmet, which is nicely painted and sculpted as well. You get some foam padding on the inside so you won't scuff off the top of the head, the ears, or the chin, so that's nicely padded right there. Got some nice sculpting details right there, kind of those leathery bits right there, which look nice. It's made out of that type brittle type plastic that Hot Toys always uses. You can see some sharp points right there, so be careful because those could snap off at any moment, but the helmet itself looks really nice. Next up, you get the alternative head sculpt, which we have seen before with the Infinity War one. You can see there are some nice sculpting details. The speckling is pretty much on par with the Infinity War Thanos, but you can see it's a little bit more saturated here, more contrastier paint near the eyes and the teeth itself. You can see the Hot Toys logo right there, kind of hidden away right there, just to let you know that this is an authentic head sculpt. Now showing what the helmet looks like on the first head sculpt, which slides in very snugly. You don't have to remove any parts. Doing it 360, this is very movie accurate to what we see in Infinity War and also Endgame, kind of revealing kind of the back part of his head right there. Also doing some head swappings here. You can see how easily it pops off and pops on the brand new head sculpt. Just looks very nice, and we're putting on the helmet, same thing, it works pretty easily and it just looks amazing. Next up, you get a pair of grabbing hands or expressive hands with the armor pieces attached on right there. Now they actually added some extra paint details like the nail and the lunula, which I learned today, which is the white part of the nail. So that's what it looks like on the figure, so you can get more expressions out of this guy. You also get a pair of relaxed hands, so you could do whatever with these. You could have them in a regular standing pose or a museum pose, whatever you want. And lastly, for the hands here, you get a pair of grabbing hands. Now, one thing to note is that the armor pieces itself, the black part is glued on, and then this gold part is kind of attached to the black part. So when swapping out the hands here, be careful. You could pull out the gold little plastic piece right there, which is not rubber. And you can see him holding the weapon right there, which looks very nice. And looking at the weapon itself, it just looks amazing. This thing is huge. You can see one side of the blade is as big as my hand here. Now looking at it closer, you can see some nice kind of Japanese Damascus type swirly patterns right there, which is a cool looking knife. If you search it up, Japanese Damascus knife, it has the same type of swirling pattern. I don't know if we see that in the movie. I have to go look again, but they made out of this lightweight plastic, which does feel brittle, which Hot Toys uses all the time. You can see right there, it's very sharp, so be careful with that. You could snap off the little tip there if you're not too careful, but just the paint job and the sculpting is top notch right here. Next up, you get his Infinity Gauntlet with all these stones right here. You get the articulated hand and the separate fist right there, which is a new attachment on the forearm piece right there. You can see kind of pegs on, but looking at it, as I mentioned before, it's pretty much the exact same sculpt when it comes down to the hands and the fist. It's just the forearm itself is a little bit smaller, a little bit form-fitting, as opposed to the Infinity War one, which was a little bit bigger. You can see removing the battery cover right there reveals the on and off switch, which turning that on reveals all the lights, which look very nice in the dark, but in this lighted situation it is quite dim. When you have the fist as well, you can see it's not as bright as the open hand. It's pretty much the exact same brightness. Nonetheless, it still looks pretty awesome. Now swapping out the arm here for the gauntlet, you can see it's a new arm with a new ball peg right there. You can see, just pop that off. Be careful when holding the arm, because this does tend to paint rub, so be very careful with that, not to grab on the armor pieces. But when you attach the gauntlet here, it looks very nice. Now, since this is a smaller, kind of a shorter gauntlet, it allows you to have more articulation as opposed to the Infinity War one, so you get a little bit more bend on this one, but not at 90 degrees, which is okay. You still get a decent amount of bend. You also get a rotation right there on the forearm, and the fist here has a ball joint, so it does rotate all the way around, goes in and out like that. You get some side to side movement. It is quite stiff, so be careful on that part. And lastly, for Thanos' accessories, you get his base right there with his name printed on with the logo right there for Avengers Endgame. Same thing on the base right there. Pretty much the exact same base as the 1/4 scale figures. It doesn't use as much space as this Infinity War one does, so I prefer this one over Infinity War. So taking a closer look at Thanos here, starting off with that head sculpt, very great likeness to Thanos that we see in the movie, but it's the exact same head sculpt that we get in Infinity War. It's just that the paint is different, as I said before. But nonetheless, this is still a great likeness to Thanos, and what can I say? It's just amazing. And having it in this armor version is just awesome, having this version of Thanos. Now, looking at the armor itself, it doesn't really do it justice on camera, but taking a closer look, you can see some sculpting details and some dirt and scuffing details here and there. And in the black areas, which look like faux leather has been attached, no, those aren't like faux leather pieces. They're actually plastic, and they're sculpted on, which looks very nice. Now, one thing to point out when rotating the arm here or holding on to the arm while popping off the shoulder pieces or the hands here, be careful, because the speckling paint layer on the rubber arm tends to rub off easily. So be careful with that. Hopefully I can get my replacement soon. You can see this little strap armor piece, which is just pegged on. You can see it kind of scuffs up right there. So be careful with that when holding onto the arm, because it tends to roll off pretty easily. I wish they added some foam padding right there so it protects the speckling details. But you can see the little detailing on the back here, kind of that leather look. It's all hard plastic. But moving on to the forearm here, the armor here, you see that nice detailing with the leather. It's made out of a soft rubbery plastic, so that's very nice as well. And looking at the skirt pieces here, soft rubbery plastic as well, very bendable, so it allows the legs to have some range to it. And underneath that is just a black piece of cloth covering this plastic body. So there's nothing special going on here. Same thing on the back. You can see it's a kind of a stretchy material right there. But looking at the rest of the armor here, you can see some scuffing up details, which is sculpted in right there. Same thing on the thighs right there, which look very nice. I really like this shade of gold, very bright, even though it's scuffed up. You got some rubbery pieces right there, which is attached to the upper part of the armor here, and then this little shin piece is a separate piece. Same thing with the thigh. You can see some discoloration in the armor here, kind of that airbrushed, kind of light purpley red look, which looks very nice and is apparent throughout the armors here. And looking at the feet here, you got that nice leathery detail. You got some toe articulation right there as well. You can see the gold right there on the back, and I like how it kind of sits flush when you move it up with the shin piece right there. It's just so much details, and you can see some nice treads on the bottom of his feet. For Thanos' articulation, the head is on a double ball joint right there, so his head can rotate to the side, but not all the way around because of his big chin right there. You see it kind of overlaps the armor, which kind of does look weird. You also get some side-to-side movement right there at 2 points, and you get some forward and back movement right there, a little shifty movement right there. His head could look up that far, which is okay because of the way his head is sculpted on the back, and down not that much. Okay, now with the arms here, they do rotate forward about that far, a little less than 90 degrees, but still pretty good range right there, and back about that much at 90 degrees, so you get some good range in the arms. It's just hindered by the armor there. Now the arms move outward about that far, a little over 45 degrees right there, and inward that much. Now removing the shoulder pads, you can get a teeny bit more range, but it does tend to scuff up on the armor, so be careful with that. Take your chances if you want to. Now attaching those back on, the arms here do not have a bicep swivel, but they do have a single jointed elbow, which bends a little less than 90 degrees, which is okay. And same thing with the left arm here. you can get almost 90-degree bend right there. Now moving down to the hands here, you got a double ball peg right there, or ball joint, which is loose on this right arm here, but you get some in and out, side to side, and 360-degree rotation. Same thing on the other hand here, which is a little bit more stiffer and not as loose as the right hand. Now the torso itself is very loose, which is common with Thanos' figures, so it's not broken whatsoever. It's just how it's designed. You kind of get a bend right there in the torso. It's kind of the lower torso. He does have upper torso articulation, but it's hindered by the armor there. If you've seen what this figure looks like without the armor, you can see he has a torso articulation and a lower torso or abdomen rotation there, but you can see the range right there. Now with the legs here, they do kick forward that far, so he can sit down like so, and he can't bend back whatsoever due to the way that his gluteus maximus is sculpted. But he does have a upper thigh swivel right there, which is nice. You get double jointed knees, which is very stiff on mine. I think that's due to the fact that it's clumping up. The cloth is clumping up right there, so be careful with that. Try not to rip it, or try not to detach any of the rubber pieces on the side there. And his feet here bend down that far, which is okay. He can bend up quite a bit, which is nice. And it is kind of loose on mine, which is quite unfortunate. But you can see you got some ankle rocker or ankle pivot and 360-degree rotation right there. And his legs ratchet outward that far. And doing the ankle pivot test, this is no problem. Look at those beautiful ankle joints. He is good to go. So yeah, that is it guys. Hope you guys like it. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. Now when it comes down to Endgame Thanos and Infinity War Thanos, I would say for the best looking Thanos, I would go for the Endgame one. Why? It's just the armor is amazing, the sculpting is amazing, the articulation is slightly better. It's pretty much on par with the Infinity War one, but how I see it is having this one as a display piece is great to look at, great to pose. You're not getting any less as opposed to the Infinity War one. The Infinity War one is great, but it's just a more simplified looking Thanos. But if you want to have both, go get them. You can't go wrong with both figures. It's just that this one's more pleasing to look at, fun to pose, and you get a little bit more display options, like with the gauntlet. Even though it has all the stones, that's quite unfortunate. I wish he had 2 stones, so it kind of looks like he came from Infinity War. But yeah, having the Infinity War Thanos is okay. Not as impressed as this one right here. So if you have the option of picking up only one, I would go for the Endgame Thanos. And in the future, if you have money or saved up some money, you can go for that Infinity War one. How I see it, if you buy this one, you have the losing Thanos here, and if you have the Infinity War one, you have the more mature, winning, smart Thanos. So that's how I see it. I don't know if you do, but yeah, that is it guys. Hope you guys like it. Aeroth Morris. This is signing out. Peace.